Thank you very much. All right. I will open the board meeting of, I don't even know what day it is, August 14th, 2024, to order at 7:12, 7:10, 7:05. Holy cow, that clock is really off. And will everybody please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll have a moment of silence after that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. All right, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Cindy Simpson.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Brett McWhorter.
Here.
Trustee Nick Manning.
Here.
Trustee David Payton.
Here.
Trustee Daniel Hennick.
Here.
Trustee Andreas Esparza.
Here.
All right, thank you. Seeing we have a quorum, we will continue. And I will entertain a motion regarding approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a
Second.
second? Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Agenda is approved. The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of July 24, 2024. And I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of July 24th, 2024.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, so the minutes are approved. Moving on, we have the treasurer's report, July bills and claims. Any questions, comments, concerns?
So I'm just curious about the website photos. $1,300. Looks like a lot for some photos. For me, I went through the website. I didn't see many photos. Are we paying a professional photographer, or is this for the headshots, or?
This was for everything, all the photos on there, the headshots for staff, for board, for everybody. And then also the pictures of the parks and all of that stuff. And then she's still actually collecting some more, because we had asked for some more aerial stuff. So not everything is on the website yet.
Yeah, just crazy to me with photographers cost still only can take all these pictures with their phones. So it just caught my eye. That's all.
Anyone else? All right. Then I would look for a motion and a second.
Make a motion to approve the July bills and claims as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion in 2 seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So we have 15 minutes set aside for our next item, which is Make Us United presentation. They here? Okay. All right. We'll circle back around if we need to.
And if she doesn't show, I'll put her on a future agenda, not the next one because we're doing public art and that's
Oh.
gonna take some time. but I'll get her on the September agenda, because I know that maybe she might have some things that they want to share with you.
Okay.
So, yeah, because you help them with their current project, and some of their current projects, so I will make sure that I follow up with them. And what I will say is, in her defense, I did not remind her about this meeting on Friday, so.
That's okay. All right, so the next item on our agenda is audience business, and I just want to remind everyone that our audience participation policy is that any person wishing to address the board will do so from the podium provided in our boardroom, speaking into the microphone. Public comments regarding items not on the agenda will be limited to 5 minutes per person. Public comments regarding public hearing items on the agenda will be limited to 3 minutes per person at the time when the item comes up on the agenda. And all persons from the podium shall clearly and audibly state their name, physical address, and the town business topic they wish to speak about, and then speak about it. And then be sure to give the town clerk time to record the information because we keep track of all of that. No persons shall be allowed to speak until recognized by the mayor, and the board will not respond to citizen comments, nor will we take any action during audience business. We may instruct staff at the end of our meeting if further action is needed or desired by the majority of the board. So we have, for public hearing sign up, there's nothing, even though we have a liquor license to talk about.
I'm sorry, I signed the wrong sheet. I
Oh.
wanted to talk about that.
Okay, so we have Kim Campbell. All right, and that would like to talk about the liquor license. So we do that when it comes up, right? Okay. Okay. All right. Help me through it when we get there.
No, we have nobody for.
And nobody else signed up. So is there anybody else that wanted to speak? Did you have something? Okay. All right. So moving along. Any announcements?
I do have quite a few announcements, and then I will Terry has an announcement. The CML fall meeting is being held September 24th at Ignacio. It is $40 per person. So I sent you the information, asking if you want to sign up, let me know. I would ask that if we sign up that you can make it, because this is not a free training. So we will be paying Ignacio $40 per person for everyone to be sent. You all have a flyer in your seat regarding the community outreach for pickleball and volleyball courts in Lower Park. Those grants are super competitive, and community outreach and public participation gives us a huge edge during the next round of applications. So Jason and Jamie and Carrie are going to be doing some public outreach to pickleball people. Jason's already done that, and he's stopped by there again this weekend. And then to the school regarding their potential participation in pickleball courts and sandball courts. The windows for the marshal's office building have been back ordered until early September, so you won't see a whole lot of activity over there. And the reason for that is a back order. The MMOF application that the town submitted for additional funding for the Grand Avenue ADA project. We submitted an application for an additional $250,000 in funding to meet the budget shortfall. Was approved last week, so we'll be executing those contracts. But it doesn't change our match. What it does, though, is it covers the budget shortfall because again, we see that sometimes budgets are created 2 or 3 years ago, and then when we get to construction next year, we see some increases. So we did get that $250,000 additional grant. And then I have a note on the calendar to see if the board wishes to hold a fall or winter retreat. And if you do you want a facilitator, and are there any specific training requests? So I can push it forward to the next 2 weeks and ask again if you guys want time to think about it. But at the May retreat, there was some discussion about having a spring or a fall or a winter retreat. Once everybody has gotten used to the process and you've observed it for a while, you may have some additional questions. I can bring in some additional training. So I wanted to bring that up. And again, I can note this to bring it up next week and give you guys a chance to think about it. Or you can email me and get a going with consensus. So if the majority say yes, we want a retreat, I'll move forward with it. If the majority say no, we don't want one.
I think it's a good idea.
I would say yes, once we get a new board member seated, to talk to them as well.
Yeah, that's another reason it's.
Something in like November, possibly. Seems to be like a good time to do stuff like that, early November.
So the consensus is yes, we want one.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to table this for myself. And when we have an appointment, I will bring it back to you all and you can let me know if there's anything specific you want to discuss. I always have items I can ask you guys in retreat. But if there's anything specific, if there's any specific training you would like, now that you've been serving for a couple of months, or maybe I want more information on that, we can talk about that. But I will absolutely plan it, and then with them, I'll bring it back to you. Okay? And then Terry, I believe you have an announcement.
This week, on Friday and Saturday, is countywide cleanup, 8 to 5, or until dumpsters are full. And Saturday at the old dump is yard waste drop off from 8 to noon. Or Sunday night song night.
Town residents. Yeah, okay, awesome. Anybody else? Nothing. All right. Moving along then from announcements, we'll go to item J, trustee liaison and committee reports. Anything from the Montezuma County Commissioner? Nope. Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's not here. Region 9. Okay. CDOT TPR.
We did have a meeting last week. The highlights of that meeting are the MMLF funding, multimodal. There will be another round of applications due. In the meantime, we are creating, the TPR itself is creating the policies and procedures for that, because those grant applications are actually approved at the original TPR level. So we're working on that over the next couple of months, and CDOT has opened up their public comment period for their updated statewide transportation plan. I will be presenting the items to them that we talked about a couple of meetings ago, which is paving Grand Avenue, Main Street. I think you guys asked for maybe sidewalks on the north side of 160 and 184. I don't know if you remember that conversation, but there were 7 items. You prioritized before. We're not going to get all 7 of them. But so that discussion that we had relates to this plan. But you will have also, I've also sent you, feel free to share it far and wide, they're accepting public comment for their as well. And this is the first time in that planning process that they have included the entire state. Historically, it was always the front range and so we've been kind of pushing it out. Other than that, that's the high level overview.
Thank you. Montezuma County Planning Commission.
We had a meeting last Thursday. We didn't review anything sphere of influence, but one thing I guess I could say is the commission is we're embarking on at least exploring some updates to the land use code for the county. Right now, we're just going to work on some pretty easy things, editing, changing maybe a little bit of the language, nothing substantial to the land use code, but also there's some references to statute in there that don't even exist anymore. So we're just going to start cleaning that stuff up, and then we'll probably dive in one chapter at a time.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while.
Nice. Yeah, it's a big undertaking. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Mancos Creative District.
So the next meeting is in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Since the last meeting, Heather and I met with Chelsea just to get our introduction, talk about my role as the liaison and such. For the next meeting, it's on 8/26.
8/26. Okay. All right. Mancos Valley Chamber.
Our next meeting is on the 19th. I attended one of their board meetings, and we're just working on ways to integrate me as a board liaison and kind of figure out what that process is going to look like, but nothing to report right now.
Okay.
Building relationships.
Yeah. Thank you. Mancos School District.
No meeting this Monday is the next meeting, so.
Okay. Thanks. All right. Discussion and action items. A liquor license application.
Las Huicholas.
Las Huicholas de Nayarit LLC liquor license application. All right. So open the public hearing. All right. I hereby open the public hearing at 7:20 p.m. And Heather, do you want to introduce it, and then we'll?
I will defer to Jamie.
Oh, well, that's right. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Habits.
I'm horrible at saying the name too, so I'm just gonna say next door. They applied for a liquor license. The building has been inspected by our inspector. The marshals do not have any issues. They meet our code with everything. So we're recommending, approval for this. The owner is here. If you have any questions, I would like to hear from her.
Okay. Did you want to say anything? Come on up to the podium if you'd like to. And please state your name and address for the record.
It's Anita Fuentes. The address of our business is 108 Grand Avenue here in Florida. We are a family-owned, myself, my husband, and my daughters. We're not looking to have like a full bar or anything, just maybe, beer and bars with tacos. And so it's not a big, huge undertaking. I'm going to have a big setup, so kind of doing that, and mostly patio dining and stuff like that. We will fence off the front, kind of on Grand, where the highway will fence that off. Kind of similar to how it is now, which is like a couple posts and then the wire fencing. And just abide by all the rules. I was really appreciative of watching over because I was at least being able to help me sort things out. And
Okay. Thank you. All right. And did you want to speak on it? Okay. Come on up. Say your name and address.
Hello, Mayor and Trustees. My name is Kim Campbell, and I live at 42760 Highway 160 in Mancos. I'm here in my capacity as the Executive Director of the Chamber to speak on behalf of Las Huicholas de Nayarit. Anything that will support growing their business, we think is a positive action. Anything that brings folks to the town of Mancos to spend their money and support our sales tax revenue is a good thing. And so the chamber supports our chamber member. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. All right. So I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the Board of Trustees at 7:24 p.m. Any comments, Nick?
No, don't have anything.
Okay. David? Different?
All good to me.
All right.
All good.
All right. Then I look for a motion and a second, and we will take a vote.
To approve the application for liquor license.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Will the clerk please call the vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Brett McGregor.
Aye.
Trustee Trustee McManus. Trustee David Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Daniel Bennett.
Aye.
Trustee Andreas Esparza.
Aye.
All right, and the liquor license passes. Resolution 15, Series 2024, in support of Montezuma County sales tax.
So, this is placed before you because at the board-to-board meeting, it was discussed, when we have a board-to-board with the tribe in Montezuma County, City of Cortez, Town of Fort. It was brought up. They do have an issue on ballot. And so at the last meeting, I said, hey, do you guys want to talk about this? You said, put it on the next agenda. This sales tax is restricted to the sheriff's office, updating the jail, supporting their staff. The county currently has no sales tax. So this would be an initial sales tax in Montezuma County. We cannot actually spend money either for or against, but you can do things that don't cost any money. You can approve this resolution in support. We can post it on our website because it doesn't cost anything. I can send it to Travis. He can do whatever he wants with it on the county side. So that's why you're seeing this. And like I said, currently the county has no sales tax, and this is restricted to law enforcement and law enforcement. So we'll get to you.
Thank you. Discussion. Hunters?
Not right now. maybe after somebody else says something.
Maybe a rebuttal or something. All right, Nick?
Nothing useful to add.
Useful. Okay, David.
The only thing I wonder, because it's the public safety sales tax, so does that mean, let's rewind the time to pre-COVID, does that mean that the next time there's a COVID, that law enforcement is suddenly underfunded because sales tax and sales revenue has plummeted because nobody's spending money?
That'll be a backstop from the government, like they do. Some funds that channel back in.
That's the only thing that strikes me as a tiny worry, is a sudden, unexpected drop in revenue from the sales tax and what that does for public safety in the county. But yeah.
For whatever it is, it's more now, but I mean, it would be more than what they're getting now.
Yeah, I don't think they'll manage their money well, right? Rainy day fund.
Yeah.
That's all.
Right.
Okay,
Any points of view?
couple things. Not going to not approve this tonight because of my feelings and the issues that are here, because I do think that this is a worthwhile endeavor. But I do want to point out the way that this was brought to us from the county commissioner without any forewarning, as we were also looking at getting a sales tax put on our ballot this year. And by them going ahead of us, it precluded us from having one on the ballot. And how they told us they weren't going to pursue it this year, and then still went ahead and did it. And what a crappy way that they did this. So I do want to voice my frustration with the lack of communication from the county. And it kind of seemed like they did this at the last minute to get ahead of us before we were going to put it on our ballot. So not going to preclude us from supporting something that I do believe is worthwhile, because I do believe that our sheriff's office does need this funding. But the way they went about this is horrible. And they should hear about that. And our townspeople should hear about it as well when they ask us why we haven't paved the roads yet in this town, because that was what that was going to go towards. And this is why we can't do it this year.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Rebuttals.
I think he said it.
Additional
You
comments?
said everything you needed to say.
Okay.
I do have a question.
Figured.
I know they were gonna get a consultant, sales tax on the ballot, they were gonna get a consultant to see if it was the right time to pass it. Have we seen any of that?
Yeah, it was failing in their poll,
So, okay.
which is why they said they weren't going to pursue it this year,
Right.
and they're still doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whereas our poll said that it was going to pass in our community because our citizens wanted it, which is why we were pursuing it this year.
A sales tax, not
Right, no, yeah.
this tax for the,
Okay.
So, good
Yeah.
luck.
Well, it sets us up with failure, right? Because we failed, then it's just.
Good luck.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
yeah. All right.
So, in my recommendation, if you wish to approve, I have a sample motion for you. If you wish to take no action and you don't wish to move forward with this resolution, then there's just no motion.
Yeah.
I don't know the next agenda. Or next item on the agenda.
And to be clear, we could take no action.
Yeah, so we could take no action and it would fail due to a lack of motion. Somebody could make a motion and nobody could second, and it would fail due to lack of second. Or we could have a motion and a second, and to support, and everybody could vote no. So there's all kinds of things. Or you could all vote yes, or a mix of votes. So yeah, so there's any number of ways that we can do this. So we'll just see what happens. Yes.
They would probably put on the ballot regardless.
Oh, they're putting it on the ballot.
Yeah, it'll go on the ballot. This is just, like when people come to us for grants and we write them a letter of support, or, it's just kind of,
Seems like they should be there first to ask for support.
Exactly.
We do that with anybody, if anybody came in here asking for money, done this in the past, they want grant money, they're not here, we do not give them money.
But we're not asking for money, they're just
No, I
asking
know,
for
but
Yeah.
they're asking for our support to get
I
money.
don't disagree with you, Nick.
Well, they didn't necessarily ask for our support. This was an idea that we had at the meeting.
But I think they should have been here tonight to ask for, we should be included in the conversation, not just something.
That was my point in the beginning.
I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
I did not let Travis know it was on this agenda. What I said was, we're gonna do this. I'll send you a copy if it passes. So if you guys want them here, you can change this to the next agenda.
Yeah.
I can put it on the last meeting in August, and I can send the county administrator an email that says, hey, we're gonna be talking about this at the last meeting in August. We strongly encourage you to send a representative, just like we do everything else.
I think that's just kind of like kiss the ring mentality we don't need to engage in.
But it's the dispatch center thing all over again, like we're just beholden to their decisions without us being included, even though we are citizens of the county. It just feels like we're kissing the ring right now. We should stop doing that.
I mean, we could just take no action because this is gonna pass or fail countywide on its own merits.
Yeah.
We don't need to agree or disagree with it, we just accept that it's happening.
All right, well, if you would like to make a motion, I would entertain a motion at this time. Okay, failing to hear a motion, we will move on to the item fails, and we will move on to our next item, which is ordinance 783, series 2024, noxious weed management.
So, we talked about this at a couple of workshops and board meetings. State legislation has changed regarding the Colorado Noxious Weed Act. All of that information was presented previously, so I did not give it to you here. If you are not comfortable, again, this is not something that has to pass tonight. I would absolutely bring you guys more information if you choose. This ordinance is drafted based on the feedback that we received from you at previous meetings. Notably, the new legislation requires that we set up an oversight board for noxious weed remediation within the town limits. And the board said we wanted to leave that board. We didn't want a separate citizen committee or anything. The consensus of the board was the board of trustees will be that oversight board. So this information is included in that ordinance. We also decided not to based on this legislation and these changes to the code, we decided that this would replace the IPM document, the integrated pest management document that we have been operating under since 2014 or 2015.
2015.
So that document is just going to go away if and when this ordinance passes. And that document is set to expire in 2025. So at this time, I am happy to answer any questions that you may have. David can answer them because he drafted this ordinance for you. We can bring back research. We can make any changes, or you can pass it tonight. So let you all discuss and go with it.
Yeah, and so if I remember correctly, well, we used to have a bunch of citizen committees and things. And then if I remember correctly, Sursa said that that wasn't necessarily good for liability and things like that. Is that correct?
Standing committees.
Standing committees, okay.
We are required to have a planning commission,
Right.
commission by statute, and we are required to have a tree board in order to maintain our tree city certification.
Right.
CIRSA generally recommends against standing committees. They have zero problem with ad hoc committees for project specific, and then that committee dissolves when that project is done.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and because we have ongoing weed management, that's kind of why we made the idea of us serving as the weed management board.
that was the discussion.
Yeah.
I would reassure you that if you change your minds tonight, and you want to appoint a citizen committee, it's not a bad thing because it's called out in legislation.
Yeah.
So we will just add that to our insurance policy, we have it in mind, we cover everybody else. I think the other point of that discussion was we've been short-staffed on our planning commission and our tree board. We have vacancies on both of those for 2 years.
Yeah.
So setting up another committee, we may have a problem filling those seats. Right. And they can't meet unless there's a quorum.
Right.
So I think that was the other.
Yeah, it's like two components there. Yeah. Okay. Discussion, right? Nothing?
Who's the commissioner?
There's a state.
There's a state that, okay, so that goes
Yeah.
with the state weed control officials.
Yeah.
And this does call out new stuff where we have to have a plan and we have to submit it to them. This is actually going to be the plan, but we have to submit it to them on a certain basis.
Mm-hmm.
The commissioner or the department of agriculture.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. Nick, anything? David?
No.
Daniel? Anything else?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to point out, like this thing, it might seem kind of onerous and it has a lot of arguments. And, we can keep it here or whatever you want. I just wanted, I think kind of the origin of this was, the local, state youth commissioner, the local way, somebody, not us, but a neighbor in town saying, you got to comply with the weed law, the Colorado Weed Act, and we'll have, weed plan committee, and so, we wanted to make sure that we're in compliance, and we saw a copy of that letter, and so we don't get a letter like that, and then, so, I just put in everything in the Colorado Weed Act that purports to have requirements on town board for town, so that's why I sort of are lengthy.
Yeah.
it works.
Okay,
Unfunded mandates.
okay. Anybody have a problem with any of the sections or wording or onerousness?
No.
Okay.
When we're saying technical assistance, the board will or may provide to affected landowners, who do we have that's going to be assisting? You?
You could designate me to, you could instruct me to work with that way.
Or Terry.
Or Terry.
So then you just kind of facilitate with the state lead board.
Okay. And I like the part in there where, it's like, we need to make sure we're tending to our properties, before we have other people do it. Because again, like we talked earlier, we need to set the tone.
And like David said, we can change this. There is no timeline, and we can't forget about it, but
Yeah.
we're not on a deadline. So if there are questions or anything you want clarified, we have time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome to pass it to us, but you also have time to.
Yeah. I would say if the trustees pass this, I would ask that we get information on what's Schedule A, what's Schedule B, so that we're educated when we are making weed management decisions. All right, well, I will entertain a motion on the weed management.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 783, series 2024, an ordinance adding a new Article 11 to Chapter 2 of the Memphis Municipal Code to provide for noxious weed advisory board and for the management of noxious weeds.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Who made the second? Was it? Oh, David? Okay. All right, well, clerk, call the roll. Vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Brett McWhirter.
Aye.
Trustee Nick Manning. Trustee David Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Daniel Bennett.
Aye.
Trustee Andreas Esparza.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is Mesa Street improvements discussion.
So this item has been discussed at your level and during budget discussions and retreats for several years. Trustee Harrison is the one who originally brought this item up for discussion. The original discussions included a scope of work to pave Mesa Street, put in sidewalk and curb gutter on both sides, pave Mesa Street, and build a section enclosure for dumpsters for the south block of Grand Avenue from Main Street to Mesa Street, so those businesses.
The 100 block.
100, there you go. That was the original discussion. During budget discussions for 2024, the scope was reduced to leave Mesa Street the way it is and just construct an enclosure for the dumpsters. And so we have received a bid. Terry's done some research. We had our engineers be sure that we were not going to be encroaching or anything. And so we are coming to you now to say the bid is probably $25,000 because if you look at the items that's not included, we're going to need them to do that. And we have the exhibit from the engineer, which shows where it's going to be, which is right here, so it's not very interaction. So what we need from you is, do you want to move forward with this project? And if you do, I need a motion. If you do not want to move forward with this project, I need a motion, and I have given you some ideas, language ideas, whichever way you want to go.
All right. Discussion. Ms. Trustee Payton.
Is a hand-drawn sort of rectangle the engineered drawing of where the dumpster pad's gonna be?
Yes.
Yes. And it's currently staked, like on the ground, it's staked, so we'll make sure we're not approaching. This was just for your information. It's upside down for you, but it's right color.
It's, wait, show
Where?
again?
Right here.
Oh,
Just the little hand-drawn thing, right?
Just imagine
yeah,
the river
that's
is
what
right
I
behind
thought.
that.
On the alley, right?
River and the bridge.
Did you find it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
37 by 7.
Yes.
all right. Nick,
I don't love the chain link. I guess I like the idea of it, but the concrete pad and chain link around it just feels like
yeah,
I don't love it. So
Yeah.
that's my opinion. Also, I mean, if we are going to pave that when we're building something, I mean, we should understand. We should all figure this out with grade because we don't want to have to have it too low or too high once we go back and pave it.
Yeah.
So we just make sure that's really clear. But yeah, I mean, I guess I thought we were doing something more aesthetically pleasing because it is a nice corner right there with the library bridge and everything. We're just going to stick a big old 37 by 17 fence right there. Feels
so what, like a wood privacy fence?
yeah,
What?
just made out of like, cinder blocks or stucco or something, which is, wood or something. But it may buck the budget.
Okay,
I mean, I think it's needed for a problem that has been there for a long time, and that block. It's a problem that is caused by something that way predates anything that we ever did in just the way that that block is built. As a resident of that block, we've dealt with this the entire time we've been there. Right now, anything would be better than just having dumpsters sitting next to the river.
Yeah.
And having a possibility of a spill going right into the river there.
Yeah.
So I see that it is a privacy fence, so that would be one that is blocked off with something at least, so it's not just straight chain link with dumpsters inside. So I think that's better than nothing.
Yeah.
The plastic or whatever, at least to give some sort of breaking it up.
Could always be changed later. Creative district, put some art there. Who knows?
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's, yeah. Cool.
Okay.
I mean, I agree with Nick. I don't like this plain chain link, but yeah, maybe the slats would be better. And I don't know. I mean, I defer to these guys who deal with their trash being there. And, I don't know a ton about that.
Would owners be given keys? How are we managing like access?
I have some questions for you in the
Yeah.
staff report. Carrie and I have some questions for you. I
Okay,
didn't know
yeah.
if you wanted to have your discussion first, and then I'll ask some questions.
Yes, that
It's
would
up
Well,
to
hang
you.
on, yeah, Andres, do you have any?
Because if you decide, hey, I want to move forward, then
Yeah.
I agree that it's needed, and I think the aesthetics of it can be dealt with down the road.
Okay. All right, so questions. Terry, come closer.
The bid that I got was only on, fence was on 3 sides, that front is wide open.
Okay, so it's not really
Mm.
still.
Okay.
It doesn't prevent people from accessing. It's just.
And that's fine. I mean, we all have our own logs for our stuff, so.
well, and that's one of my, I have some questions in the staff report.
Mhm.
So who's going to be responsible for maintaining it? Who's going to be responsible for cleanup when necessary? Who's going to be responsible for making sure that it doesn't fall into the river? And should it be walkable and accessible only to businesses? So those are the questions that I have that we need answers to if we're going to move forward with this. So we're looking for your feedback because this is something brand new. And after I get your feedback, Terry and I are going to be figuring out how to move forward once it's constructed.
I mean, if it's on town property and the town's building it, the town will become responsible for it. I think that's really straightforward.
Yeah.
As far as like town managing access, I think that's a terrible idea. I think we all have locks on our individual dumpsters there. It should just stay that way because the idea of like trying to manage codes or keys or someone having a call, it just seems like that's not good. The business of being property managers on this one. Yeah.
Well, and that kind of speaks to the who's responsible if the things fall into the river once this is built.
It's the town, yeah, absolutely.
So then the
Is there a
town may
problem
be
with that
responsible
now?
for employees
Nothing that I know
throwing
of.
trash where it shouldn't go, or
I'm
being,
sorry?
so then the town might be responsible if employees throw things or garbage bag falls apart when they're throwing it in there and they don't clean it up and.
Or the public. So right now, when I do code enforcement, I'm gonna figure out who owns that dumpster or something. I'm gonna send them a letter that says clean up the trash, it's going in the river, whatever. When we build this, the town's gonna be responsible for going on.
Well, but couldn't we do a rental agreement? Like, or like use of public property agreement? It seems like if the businesses are benefiting from it, they could enter into a contract or an agreement with us that they will keep it clean. And, you know, we would be the fail-safe.
It seems like then if we're gonna go that way, we should go to the businesses first and make sure they want this.
Yeah.
Because if we build it and then we're like, hey, sign this agreement, and they're like, no, we
Mhm.
didn't ask for that. It seems
Yeah.
kind of like a bad position to pin them into.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because the businesses have changed hands, you know. Because before they were like, please do this for us.
There's nowhere else to put trash. I mean, like, you know,
Yeah.
Brent's restaurant, and there's nowhere to put trash.
Yeah. And I think too, like, it's not really precedent setting because it's the only block that has that weird, like,
Well, and it's
zero
like I said,
access.
it's a problem caused by a board way before any of us were born, pretty much.
Right. Well,
I mean, it's
maybe not me, but
still, like, we're talking that's one of the first blocks in
Yeah.
town here. And
Yeah.
it's caused by the geography of the river there too.
Well, and I would say if it turned, you know, if you all decide the town's responsible for cleanup, it's just a section of the we do the trash can.
Yeah.
But I need that.
Yeah.
I need that direction from you, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So whatever you decide, Terry and I'll come up with a plan, but those are the things that I'm questioning. And again, if you're like, yeah, we don't have to kind of build it and have everything happen, I'll go ahead and do that as well. So these are the questions that I'll be answering with Terry. You can do it however you choose.
Thoughts? Anyone?
I mean, as far as the cleanup and stuff, we already are doing our own cleanup when we're over there. On our own basis and even on other ones that we see stuff. My staff cleans up stuff as we see it over there because we don't want it being an eyesore for the town and we don't want it going into the river. Yeah, I mean, but it's right next to the footbridge right there next to the library. And we've been very cognizant of that as it had to be moved over there during construction.
Does the common press have a dumpster there?
No,
I think they just have a trash can.
they have a trash can.
Is there any liability? I mean, if the town, is there anything?
I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
It's not anything.
Okay.
You know, worst case scenario, there's a massive river dump. But
Like a literal dumpster fire?
But there's more possibility of it happening now with nothing there than there will be when there's an enclosure, I think.
Right. Yeah. I mean, to me, it cleans up the
But it makes it more
potential.
official if we build a structure that we're responsible for. I feel
Well,
like it's really saying, like, yeah.
we're probably gonna add it to our insurance.
Okay, that's kind
So
of what I'm
technically
wondering.
we'll be covered, because I'm gonna add the cost of this item to the renewal of our insurance, whenever it's done.
Yeah.
Or it's gonna do that for you. And then, so the town's gonna be covered. And I would imagine, if you want to correct me if I'm wrong, but I would imagine in the event that something happens, everybody's gonna be named in a lawsuit. Our insurance will cover us, cover the community, however that looks, and then the people who have rented those dumpsters or reserved those dumpsters are also gonna be named in case we'll find out.
Yeah.
That's my.
I think the biggest issue that we might run into, especially if one whole side is open, that people are just gonna throw their trash there.
But we all have locks on our dumpsters.
Yeah, but they'll just throw it on the ground in front of them. Cause, you know,
But they're not
I mean,
doing
we've
that.
all seen the recycling.
Would they do that now with the dumpsters there?
Wouldn't they just throw it?
There's just dumpsters sitting there right now. That's
Yeah.
not happened yet.
Okay, well, that's good.
Like, I mean, I guess when they're cycling bins are like on high school or here, people.
But it's no different really, other than there's a
Yeah.
pad now and there's a fence around it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, that's good to know that people aren't.
We haven't had any issues in 2 years now with
Sweet.
knock
Yeah.
on wood, but
Yeah. Nah, we jinxed
now you
ourselves.
put it in the,
I know, I'm
you just
sorry. I put
into
it
the
out
world.
into the, yeah.
They just do some art there, make it great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
Can't make it do anything.
As a creative district, do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Any other direction you would like to get from us?
I need a motion.
Okay. All right.
And then again, if I listen to the conversation, if
Mm-hmm.
the motion doesn't include the answers to the questions, like I said, if you say build it, and nothing else, no, we're going to track.
Okay.
And once it happens and it's in place, if there are issues that we want to address, we can always talk about it in a meeting. You can give us some feedback, we can change direction. However, this is, we've never done it before, so.
Yeah.
It's all new. Not a problem.
All right. Well, then I would entertain a motion.
I move to authorize the public works director to move forward with the construction of a dumpster enclosure at the south end of Mason Street near the pedestrian bridge at a cost not to exceed $25,000.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Will the clerk please call the vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Brett McMurder.
Aye.
Trustee David Hayton.
Aye.
Trustee McManus.
Aye.
Trustee Daniel Minnick.
Aye.
Trustee Andres Esparza.
All right, motion passes. And I just want to say for the record that even though it sounds like two people on the board are going to be impacted by this, your stuff is already there. This is just cleaning it up and so there's no financial benefit to y'all. So
Trash just gets us on concrete, so it's there.
yeah, we're just gift wrapping the trash. So I just wanted to state that for the record. Yeah. All right. So that passes. Make us days after action report.
So, the Monday after Memphis Day, staff, the department heads, public works director, the marshal, the clerk, the community and economic development director, and myself, met with the Memphis Days committee to receive some positive feedback and then to address some potential areas where we can improve next year. The positive feedback that we received from the committee and that the town agrees with is the parade was a hit on Saturday. The Saturday parade was a hit. There were a little bit of lags, but there were, according to the marshal, a couple thousand people in town during that time. So the beer garden was extremely popular. The committee felt that the car show on Grant was a great way to keep people flowing between the downtown and Royal Park. And from the staff standpoint, the park as a whole and the restrooms specifically were kept relatively clean compared to maybe past years. So that was the positive feedback. So these areas for improvement are my orders based on information from that meeting, both the department heads and the committee. Communication was absolutely an issue. Once we reached out to the committee, for example, Thursday morning, vendors were rolling in and there was no committee member available to tell them what. So once we reached out to the committee, they offered to show up a couple hours later to deal with that issue. vendors seemed to be unclear as to where their space was. So there was a little bit of discussion among the vendors about where they should be. Communication was absolutely an issue, in my opinion, because the department has met with the committee multiple times prior to the event and shared the information that we needed, that was required, so that's my number one issue on all sides of this, is that communication was an issue. The other one for me specifically, because we covered this event under our insurance as a deed requirement for the community center. So the Mancus Days nonprofit back in the day deeded the community center to the town of Mancus, and the deed requires that we insure Mancus Days every year moving forward. So number two for me is that paperwork that we requested was not submitted. We discussed this with the Mancus Days committee. None of this is a surprise. Nothing in this staff report is a surprise. And there are certain instances where if we do not receive the paperwork next year, I'm so sorry to you, burning to the public, but I will shut the event down. Because we are violating our insurance requirements, and in some cases, we're violating state laws. And
Well, like the kids parade.
the kids parade
Oh, I mean, they
is
were,
a separate
there's traffic and
that was the
kids in the
biggest one for
street.
me.
My kid was in the street.
I was in that.
Yeah, he was right next to my kid in the
In
street.
it.
Yeah, she was right behind him.
Well, that was kind of a separate issue, but for example, we had talked about vendors overnight, so we said we were missing vendors. So again, if we're allowing vendors to sleep in the park overnight, specific to your approval on this instance, we need that list because that was the condition that you put on.
Yeah.
Because our current code says no overnight camping.
Right.
So there are certain things that, okay, sorry, we forgot the paperwork, but there are other things that we were very clear, or they attend the meeting and heard your direction. So I love these things. I had 60 plus years of tradition. I think it's amazing. But there are a couple of things that just we can't allow to happen.
What did they offer? Based on this feedback, why is this all?
All will do better next year.
Did they give any excuses or reasons why?
Just will do better next year.
Well, it's such an important event to the town. I think we just try to make sure we help them do better next year as well.
Well, and that's.
I mean, whatever whatever extra checking in we can do to say, hey, do you have this paperwork in, reminders or?
Well, and that's where, again, the frustration on this comes from, because 3 days before Thursday, when vendors started rolling in the fall. So not only did we have regular monthly meetings and then they got closer together, but we did reach out a couple days prior to Mancus Days, specifically with the kid group. 3 days before Thursday, hey, we saw this advertised on Facebook. You told us that you were not doing the kid parade. You cannot have it. Brand Avenue is not closed. Oh no, we're not going to do the kid parade. Friday morning.
Yeah, why would they say that? That's
well, and that is why I'm taking such a hard one. I would be much less firm if, and I would admit, kind of like with, oh, sorry, I didn't notify that. We did everything that we possibly could. And that's why, again, Friday morning, as I was at home, going, I'm going to make this. So, oh my God, they're streaming live on Facebook. There are kids in the middle of Brand Avenue. I mean, so that's why I'm taking such a hard line on these. And I took the same hard line with them. If this happens next year, if there is a kid parade next year and that highway is not closed, I will absolutely take the black eye. I'll take a smack on the head from you all. I'll take whatever I need to have. And I'm going on Friday to the marshal's office and we're shutting down. It's just not acceptable.
Yeah,
In a properly permitted closure.
Well,
the
yeah,
highway.
if the corporate agreement costs us like that.
Yeah.
If they,
Andres, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say it one more time, but like, I was excited for my kid to be in the parade. I was in the parade with my kid so that he could be there, not knowing that.
It was prohibited, yeah.
I had no idea. And like, that just is, like, it was like jaw dropping. Like, how does this happen with my 3-year-old on the street? And I sensed confusion at the start of the parade, and I just chalked it up to like,
Yeah, why are there cars? That was we were like, why is there traffic?
yeah, and I just assumed it was all done, and I'm with you. I guess is what I'm saying. Like, if that happens next year, like, absolutely, please shut it down, because I need to make 1,000% sure that the kids' parade is going to be totally safe before my child ever does it next year.
Kids out there.
Yeah, like,
It takes one car mowing down a bunch of kids because it's open highway.
Yeah, so I support that. If it's not done right, like, it is a safety thing, and it's absolutely not acceptable.
and like I said, I because we reached out a couple days before with some concerns, and we were told that, oh no, we're not doing that, and yes, we'll have the paperwork. Even at the after action report, we said we didn't receive a copy of your vendor list, and they said, we'll send it to you. We do not have it.
We still don't have a copy of the vendor list.
So I would agree with you that, yeah, we absolutely want to help people and walk them through their project and their events, and especially because this is the first year that committee specifically handled Vegas Plus. But
Well, and I didn't mean to imply that we didn't do enough. I just, in my line of work, I do lots of other people's jobs, and so it's just kind of like, I know how important Vegas Days is to the community, so.
I totally agree. And so I think we're just gonna be a little bit more firm, and we're gonna be much firmer on the drop dead dates prior to the event.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe move some things up. Be more firm.
Just because they said they were gonna start talking about it or whatever in January.
Yeah.
We're gonna reach out before that.
Yeah. Brent?
I was gonna say, I was at the initial kickoff meeting, I wanna say in like January or February, somewhere around there, and met with the whole group. And I remember specifically letting them know that these were requirements that were needed for shutting down the road and things like that, and that they should get involved in talking to the town on getting all this stuff lined out as soon as possible. And they were writing notes and everything, and then to not have any of it happen is just, it's really disheartening to give them the information months in advance of an event like that.
Is everybody in the committee new? Was it just?
No, yeah, everybody on the committee.
Because it's all new people.
Yes.
But again, I do believe, especially with things like street closures and some things that are non-negotiable, like, I don't know how much we knew about the kids' camps, because that doesn't really, they can do whatever they want on that, we've got the park. So I don't know how much information on kids' camps is passed. But I know that every meeting staff attended with the Make It Stays committee, they said, for example, we need these street closure requests, we need these street closure requests. We never got the one for the parade on Saturday. I believe it was 5 days before they submitted something. However, 2 months prior to that, I sent it to CDOT, knowing that parade had options. So we took it upon ourselves to do some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy to do that again next year. And what I am going to do next year is probably do Friday as well, just because. But so we didn't get the town street closure request until 5 days before the event, despite repeated requests at these meetings from the staff to the committee. We need this information. So
what normally happens, I mean, they've been doing this for 60 years, but if an organization had an event, we would just deny they wouldn't have the event, right?
absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they're just special because they.
No, it's special because it was the days and staff. This year, I will be super honest, I wasn't sure how much we should affect the event.
Right.
Which is kind of like during this conversation, if I don't get a street closure request for Friday next year, I'm going to close the event. Are you all okay with that?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, that kind of.
It's really black and white.
There are some things that that are extremely black and white. There are other things where, okay, fine, we'll give it to you. You know what I mean? Okay, fine, we'll help you. But these are the most egregious things that I just feel that the board needs to be aware of, because these are the things that may potentially affect the event next year.
Mm-hmm.
Vendors, there again, it goes back to that vendor communication. We have vendors calling town hall, and there were vendor altercations in the park. It was again a lack of a representative out there when we had been told, oh, so-and-so's in charge of vendors, they're going to be this. So we're trying to not only run the business of the town, because town hall was still open those days, but deal with the traffic. The marshal's office is not doing what he's supposed to be doing because he's out in the park. They never did hire security, which was also discussed. So I told them, like later on in this, there was underage drinking at the water pond event, and I put water in the quotes for you all, because after the event was held, everything was left staged, but there was no representative. So we had underage kids actually from beer pong and stuff. Nobody there to catch it. And again, our marshal's office is dealing with missing children, heat exhaustion, people run barricades when we have streets closed. We need a representative there to deal with this. And I confirmed all of this and discussed this with the committee. And this is probably one of the hardest things I've done in a long time, because I just hate having to do this, especially in a public forum like this. But we told them it's coming, and they told them they're welcome to send a representative to this meeting. So back to the street closures, there were many times that like the streets were closed for long ran, and people were just wanting them, or they would just pull the barricade aside. Generally, there is a volunteer, and we love them, that's going to drive around town and make sure the street closures are in place. Not necessarily. And the beer garden.
Could you be a little more specific, just verbally, with the sidewalks were used to circumvent street closures? Draw us a picture.
People drove on the sidewalk.
Driving on the sidewalks.
What it sounds like.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. I just, for the record, that's what I assumed. I don't like to assume.
So they just weren't, it sounds like they're just understaffed.
Maybe. And that goes back to, again, I completely understand. It's just hard because they were new this year. But some of these are the things that we discussed with them from staff to the media that said these have got to be rectified next year.
Yeah.
Because they're public health and safety issues.
Yeah.
Or they're liability issues for the town, like in the instance of the paperwork. They're liability issues for the town. Because we cover this event, we cover every single volunteer. And we need, our insurance requires their name, how many hours they worked, and what that volunteer did through the event. In order to cover them for liability, medical impairment, or volunteering. We have to have that information. Without that information, we're not going to cover that volunteer.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of, that's why these are either legal issues, liability issues for the town, or public health and safety. The beer garden.
A little too popular.
It was extremely popular. It was absolutely over-serving. Our marshal was picking people up off the street and sitting them on Fahrenheit and finding them on because they could not walk. They were also allowing alcohol to leave the premises, which is, and again, they are putting their state license. We are required to ensure compliance. If there's no compliance, there are times that we should be notifying the state because the state licenses this type of business with local agency agreement. So they were allowing alcohol in the premises. There was absolute over-serving, and they were giving people tickets. They are not licensed, but it is a license. So so all of these issues are, in my opinion, relatively serious. If I have overreacted in any way, I will take your guys' feedback. Totally fine.
No.
And then kind of what we did was,
Yeah, over-serving is a huge issue.
so kind of the resolution is, this is what kind of town has done. We met with them. I basically told them flat out, if the street closures are not submitted properly, handled properly, monitored properly in 2025, I shut the entire event down. And they stated that they will do a better job of monitoring all of the events. The committee itself will do a better job of monitoring all the events to ensure that over-serving and underage drinking doesn't happen. And then we've had some staff out of town, our marshal and the town clerk have been out of town for alternating days. So we're going to be getting together with the liquor license holder over here and having the same conversation.
What's the, like 2 months from now?
I'm just waiting, everybody just got back this week. And I had some other issues to deal with, so I had to.
Okay. But
we'll reach out in the next
sooner
week. Yeah, we'll have to reach out in the next week or so. But
yeah.
We met with the committee like the day after Vegas Days. I did not have that opportunity because.
And have we notified the state?
Yeah. We, unless directed by the board, I'm happy to do that. But this is the very first time we've had an issue with this license holder or anything. So we have received complaints, however, we've investigated both from the admin and the marshal's office on this business for other stuff.
Those are noise.
And they've been kind of unfounded. So, or we have, again, here's a decibel, that kind of thing. So I am not inclined to put them on the state's radar the first time out of the gate. I also think that they were overwhelmed. I don't know that they expected the turnout that they had. So I'm willing to meet with them, unless you want to do something. But I'm willing to meet with them. It's kind of what I did with Vegas Days, completely unacceptable. Next year I will make the motion, that kind of thing. Happy to do that next year. Happy to have that meeting with them and get that.
It seems like they need to know that. It seems like that is really imperative for them to know.
Oh, absolutely.
We're going to shut it down next year if they try to handle this again.
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe it's a little bit of increased scrutiny now. If they overserved on Vegas Days, then I think we should be watching them for overserving now, today, tonight, in the future. At least to get an idea. Most times people that engage in certain behavior, it's a trend or habit. So I think we should make sure it's not a trend.
The marshal and I stay in contact, and based on, and we've made some changes internally based on Vegas Days. We never want to target a business.
Yeah.
But we have kind of spoken about some of the issues that we run into on Vegas Days. And what was budget?
And we kind of.
I don't want them to feel attacked. I don't want, but again, to your point.
And we've kind of extended a little bit of grace to Chavolos too, right? In years past for overserving, or no? Or do I have that wrong? Okay. I felt like there was some kind of issue.
The state did a state.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the state knew about that because they did it. Okay.
And they're actively still doing that. They're actively still doing that.
Okay.
However, it was discovered, addressed, they followed all of the issues.
Okay, perfect.
We can't look backwards. If they have complied, because it was a state issue, because they have complied with all of the requirements that the state put on them to address the issue,
Okay. And that's why we continue to renew. Okay, all right. I knew there was some weird thing that happened, but.
And if during the course of a liquor license the state comes in for any reason, we are notified of that. we are notified, and that goes in the staff report.
Yeah.
So if there's underage, if they're failing to ID, if there's over, whenever that happens to be, then we put that in the staff report to you all to say the state did this was the outcome, because it's public record. This is the outcome, here's a recommendation. So anyway, I, not into your original question, not inclined to necessarily involve the state.
Yeah.
But we'll be just as firm with them as we were with the committee to say these things are deal breakers, completely unacceptable. We also discussed with the committee, because there had been discussion over the course of the planning meetings, that there would be security. And there was no security either by the committee or any of the vendors or any of the, the beer garden and the car show, no security. So we talked about requiring security for next year, which will, if they want to hire local law post-certified officers for SPDC and for the sheriff's office, which is not going to be regularly that we can, you're looking at $16,000 to $19,000.
Yeah.
However, 2 guys in town for 3 days, which is our guys. You know what I mean? So I don't know that, I don't think that should be on the table. I know that 724 is going to do that. They won't have the event, but.
We can't have this happen again.
I think they just proved to us that they need to have security.
So I just wanted to let you know that was kind of discussed generally. We gave them some details, Justin gave them like the cost information, that kind of thing. We will be bringing it up again during our first 2025 planning meeting with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I might be firm on that. I'm struggling with that one because 63 or 64 years of League of States history, it should happen. The town loves this event. People come from everywhere, family reunions happen. I mean, it's amazing. But at the same time, it's growing to the point where we do need some changes for public health and safety.
Yeah,
I mean,
so,
and it isn't fair to put that all on a couple of people from our staff and just like completely, I mean, that was just unbelievable.
Well, and staff was amazing this year because they pivoted as necessary in order to keep the event going. Some things where normally we would be like, no, this is not okay. The staff was amazing about being like, all right, I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to come in earlier, I'm going to work later, I'm going to work overtime. And we're going to make this happen for this event. But again, during the after action, we discussed the fact that we want to help you and we want to assist. But there's a limit, and I'm not going to make staff make that decision. I'll make the decision because it is very basic event.
In years past, did they have the security that's required?
I think they have more volunteers.
They did.
Okay.
And I believe that this year they were a little light on volunteers. I don't know if it's because they couldn't get anybody to help them. I don't know if it's because they were just not organized enough. I don't know if it was just because I'm I cannot.
Yeah.
I just know that there were more volunteers when it was being handled in the prior committee over the last couple of years than there were this year.
But
and the years before that, the town was responsible for the event, so we just.
But if we're requiring post-certified and that's driving that price.
We're not requiring post-certified.
Okay.
90% of the time when security is required, they end up hiring a post-certified if they're local, they're easy, it's quick. So they can do whatever they want to do. If they choose post-certified and they want the marshal's office to manage that further.
Okay. But if they get their act together and they get volunteers that will be firm with people, that's their way around $20,000. Yeah. Okay.
My only concern is that, like, if I had been one of the people celebrating at the beer garden and be like, this is amazing. Like, I'm telling my friends, and we're going next year to do it too.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's the one where I'm like, clearly a lot of people had a lot of fun, too much fun. And I don't want that to be the reputation we spread for next year. So maybe there's some mixture of volunteers are great as security generally, but you've proven to us once that you can't handle a beer garden. And maybe you actually need security at that event because that's the event where I think most of the trouble could come from.
Yeah.
And we've already been shown once they can't handle it.
We've also let them slide once and so that anything in out of the town will let us get away with it, or the town will take care of it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, like we're closing streets for them. We're picking up slack.
We're picking up slack, we're letting people drive on sidewalks. So it's
Yeah,
probably a good idea at the time you're here.
Yeah.
The beer garden's also relatively new to Mancus days.
Yeah.
It used to not have a beer garden.
Yeah.
Because Boyle Park is not allowed to have a beer garden over there. And so it's only been the last 2 years that they've actually, I believe, had a beer garden. The last one was actually where the marshal's office is being built right now. So it was right next to Boyle Park. And then this time they put it over at Rio.
And the one that was at the marshal's office was actually a special event permit through the school district,
Yes.
whatever nonprofits associated with the school.
But historically, they hadn't had one previously.
Yeah.
My bar used to be the beer garden
Right.
in its
Yeah.
in its heyday.
And you've cleaned it up quite well.
Yes.
So this is basically just an FYI, and again, to hear some feedback from you all. I'm happy to take additional direction.
Yeah.
I just wanted you to be aware that staff was aware, we met with the committee, we're gonna meet with the organizers and have that conversation. And then, for me, the biggest thing was illegal street closures or anything that puts children or health and safety at risk. I'm inclined next year to just go in and shut it down.
Yeah.
Is there any objection to that?
No.
And, or any feedback, or you think, you may think about this first, or do you want to think about it, I can put it on the future. You know, whatever you guys want to do.
If they don't follow the rules, they don't get their permit. And it's unfortunate, but
I don't want to risk anybody's safety.
yeah, all we
For
need
this
is for
event.
kids to get mown down.
Yeah, 60
You know.
years of tradition isn't worth the
Yeah,
kid getting hit.
it's, you know,
So we will meet with them. We'll start the process again, and we will meet with them. And I may be a bit firmer even like again during the planning process and during the meeting process. And every time I see an event advertised that we are waiting for information on, we are going to reach out. We are going to say, your vendors are not paying for our part because we don't have your vendors. Sorry, I'm sorry
Yeah.
about that. You know, and again, limited to liability, public health and safety, serious issues, not just, well, they didn't have a person. You know, there's somebody out there to help them. We're not going to post that. We're going to deal with it, and then we're going to fix it. But serious liability or health and safety issues.
yeah,
Yeah, if you put it back on there, this organization, just, I mean, we would ask any other organization to follow certain rules in the same way, so.
no.
I also think that there's some confusion in the community with regards to open containers. So I think we could communicate more clearly to people, I don't, you know, and what is acceptable, you know, like Borough Fest, we've got these rules, Mancus Days, we've got these rules. I think there's a lot of people that are crossing things up. I mean, I know one person who asked for his establishment to give them a to-go drink, and I was like, what are you talking about? And they refused, of course. But I think, you know, just I know there's confusion out there.
But we also have a
With-
license for to-go alcohol.
Yeah.
That's a difference too. You can have a liquor license that has that.
And then that brings up other issues. Oh, give me my to-go drink because I'm gonna go out to Mancus Days instead of taking home where I should. You know, because of the COVID, that's the COVID one, right? That's the COVID update. Yeah.
Well, it's now state law.
Yeah.
It's permanent.
Yeah. So I think that is confusing a lot of people with what's legal and what's not.
But during that weekend, we just completely, during any of those events and those weekends, we just completely just shut that off.
Yeah, it's makes it easier, I'm sure.
I just tell my staff, don't even do it.
Yeah. I also, I wasn't on Grand that much, but I sort of glanced over at the beer garden, and I didn't really see like fencing around it.
There was fencing.
Was there?
It was the orange fencing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They
Must have just
had
been
an
bodies in
entrance.
front of it.
They had an entrance right at the middle part of the driveway going in
Okay.
off of Grand,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where they were checking IDs and things like that.
Okay.
But that was where you went in at. But that was the extent of it right there.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we were walking up and the music was playing. We're walking at the school and we can hear it coming down the street. And I mean, it was kind of nice, but then it got out of hand, obviously. So maybe we could manage some of that a little bit better. I mean, the live music and obviously people love that, but.
So I have a couple of notes here, specifically specific to security for the beer garden, paying extra attention, clarifying beer container. So, any other feedback or things you're going to consider as when we start the planning process for 2025?
I'll say personally, from my perspective, the car show killed business after the parade for downtown.
Oh.
Because it rerouted the people walking the parade around, and so they didn't walk through Grand right there. They walked around instead of going, because everybody's trying to park their vehicles during that time.
You didn't go down.
No, it did not. It stopped and went away from there. The people walked away from there and around after all the vehicles were the last thing in the parade.
Mm-hmm.
And they pulled in to park. And while they were figuring out all that, everybody else on foot walked around. No.
I was like, the parade route is wrong.
Everybody else walked around onto Bauer and went over to the park that direction.
Oh.
A lot of them went that way, and we didn't see them actually go through the Grand like we used to.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them did, but not as full as before.
So
we didn't have as many people walking through as before.
So a little more organized.
It just was very chaotic during that time. It just seemed chaotic with cars trying to back in and then some people walking around, some in the street, some on the sidewalk, and trying to figure out where people were going when cars were pulling in and trying to park and stuff too. It just seemed very chaotic during that time at the end of the parade.
This particular discussion is more about just kind of getting some feedback, adding to my notes, and concerns and discussion.
Yeah.
When we start planning for the next year.
Yeah. And I mean, it sounds like you have our backing for being tough.
Yeah. It's going
like,
to be,
they need to follow the rules.
I promise, it's a last resort for me. However, like I said, there are some things that cannot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Anything else on Minkus Days?
Nope.
So I had heard, and I don't know if it's true, but we can find this out by asking our marshal. I had heard that the marshals were telling some people to take Trump flags down.
That is inaccurate. So the Vegas Days Association rented a booth to local money, and their flags were outside of their reserved booth space.
So they're just telling them to move
So
them
what
in.
they were told was, you need to put these inside your space. They chose to take them out of the ground and lay them on the table while the marshal was there. I don't know what happened.
Gotcha. Okay.
Once he walked away from the booth, I don't know what happened.
Okay.
So that was something that I have heard, that I have researched. That is what I have discovered.
Well, that's what I wondered too. I was like, okay, well, what's the reason?
Yeah.
What really happened here?
Yeah. No, and there was discussion when there was an altercation between vendors, because there were a couple. There was discussion from the marshal, again, about, come on guys, can we get along today? There's too much happening. I just need you all to be respectful of each other, kind of thing. So there were a couple of different things happening in the park among the vendors on Thursday and Friday. So that.
Another thing maybe to have make us.
Well, and
Yes,
that's,
committee work
we
on.
discussed, you're gonna have a full hearing at 8 o'clock. I know you said vendors can't come until noon, but they're rolling up here, you gotta have something. Was kind of a discussion with that committee. And next year, we're not going to be there to help you in the park. If you're having a problem with the vendor, you need to solve it.
Were those problems with the vendors because of lack of communication, like the same stuff that you were dealing with?
And so it's again, the discussion was, we are not here to because somebody gave you pushback and you don't want to deal with it. We are absolutely here if the energy level rises on an altercation, if it's a verbal altercation or assault, if it looks like it's going to become physical, then the marshal's office will step. But Thursday and Friday, again, they're dealing with much more important issues, and the committee is going to have to take responsibility for the vendors. 95% of the time. So that there was that discussion.
Yeah, so the Mangus Days possibly could have managed the vendor booths a little bit better and gone around to the different booths and say, hey, you're out of your space, you're out of space. Then our marshal wouldn't have had to even be involved.
Yeah. And so that was that was a discussion, but staff again was doing their best, knowing there was a new committee, knowing there weren't that many volunteers. It was just kind of a, staff pivoted or whatever the best we could. And there were lessons learned for us as well. And we have shared those with the Make States Committee and said, yeah, no, this year, next year, we're going to need to have people who are dealing with yourself. Because technically, the Make States Committee is a registered nonprofit with their own insurance. They can set their own rules for the vendors. And if they don't like the rules that they have in place for them, they can change it. That has nothing to do with the town.
Yeah.
They can choose to say yes to a vendor, they can choose to say no to a vendor, they can choose what kind of foods they want, they can choose to allow weapons, to not allow, they can choose all of that. And it has nothing to do with the town.
So how did we get then caught up in managing that issue then?
Because nobody is in the park. Justin gets a phone call from one of the committee members that says, I'm doing something else, I heard this, can you go help me with this? And we wanted to help.
Yeah.
So, and again, it goes back to what
Staff.
did we talk about earlier, no good goes unpunished?
Yeah, there you go.
Do we leave vendors arguing amongst themselves in the park? Do they come, it's, so there was a lot.
Well, because what I also heard was that was what precipitated certain people coming to town that then was part of what we were talking about in the workshop.
And I don't have definitive evidence, and neither does the marshal, because he called me and said, I heard this is happening, and I said, number one, you guys don't have time, and number two, it's too close to home, I want you to involve the sheriff's office. Anytime there is any legal question about staff, immediate family staff, appointed or elected, we call in somebody else where possible to handle that investigation. So I treated this the same way that I treated that. And I got a call, said this person, Justin said, I know this, and this. And I said, we've got too much happening with these days. And because it involves who it involved, I said, you need to call the sheriff's office and have them do it. Because the sheriff's office, again, always backs us up. So it went straight to the sheriff's office, we have no further involvement, and I don't have any information. Because that's the sheriff's office investigation. So I don't know how everything happened. I've heard, but I don't have any definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I guess it's just, just struck me as it's just, you said, no good deed goes unpunished. And it was a series of events that maybe wouldn't have even happened if Mankus Days had managed the vendors like they should have, then what we were talking about at the beginning in our workshop may have never happened. Because phone calls wouldn't have been made, people wouldn't have come to town. It's just a domino effect of just,
And And I can't answer because I don't.
Well, this is my fourth Mancus days that I've been around in here, and it did seem like prior ones there were a lot more people involved, like volunteers and things like that. With just in general, there were a lot more bodies around helping with things and just different places around town during the event. I actually, on Saturday afternoon, I got to walk around town and go into the park and check it out, and it just seemed very sparse compared to previous years with the amount of people helping. Because they usually have like branded shirts and things like that to point out who's working there and things like that too. And it did seem a lot lighter this year too. And they usually,
a lot of it just revolves
they also
around
use,
lack of
they used to
personnel.
reach out, I know, to a lot of the high school kids to have them help and stuff in the past as well. And I didn't see a lot of that this year either. So it did seem, it was their first year, I know that, and
We've been on a chance next year.
Yeah.
You know, it all you can do is what you can do.
Mhm.
And there's always room for improvement, especially in an event that goes for 3 days and attracts thousands of people. So we'll do our best. The main point of this for me though is these are some things that I'm gonna hit it hard next year, and I know that you guys are out in the community hearing the feedback. So whenever possible, I try to say, oh, heads up, just remember, you may hear some feedback. Feel free to tell me to bring it in, but here's what I'm gonna do. So.
Okay, anything else for that?
God, no.
All right, moving on. We've beaten that dead burrow. Okay, items, best. Items for August 28, 2024 meeting. We've got the 2024 public art proposals from the Mancus Creative District. 2025 operating and maintenance budget discussion for the workshop. Fiscal update discussion, and second quarter work plan and financial update. Anything else that we want to have?
I will be absent.
You'll be absent? Okay.
Yes, we will, and we also have the Moondog Cafe liquor license.
Moondog Cafe liquor license and the letters of interest, if any. So they can see.
Have we received any yet?
Those go to Jamie, so.
Yes.
How many?
Just one.
Just one.
Well, we actually did have two originally.
But one isn't eligible.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we received a letter of interest from that Howard, but he was term limited this election. So state law, election law requires that he sit out for a full 4 years before he's elected.
He wants them back.
I think for election. I think we let him know there's a space on the planning commission and the tree board. For those who want to serve.
There you
Well,
go.
and for those who want to serve but can't commit, you guys have a lot of time commitment. The planning commission only meets once a month and the tree board only meets once a month. So we've been, I don't know, CPC yet on that.
All right. Anything else? All right. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned.